Hey guys, Relius here. Orbis is ending, but what is Orbis? Orbis is a Minecraft server created by a gentleman named Brazilian. Brazilian runs a YouTube channel called Brazilian Mapping, which I will link in the description below. On this channel, he creates series based on alternate history and geopolitical scenarios. Alongside this channel, he has run a server on Minecraft based on geopolitics and running nations. This most recent season, Orbis, is the second in the server's history. I joined fairly late in this season, only this past June or July of 2023, and quickly after joined the nation of Ultima Boria, at the time turning out of an imperial dictatorship and into a democracy led by Torio67 via a vote. Ironically, Torio, who will be mentioned as Tori from here on out, was the one who invited me. She will be a name to keep track of later, trust me. Ultima Boria was not the most stable nation on Orbis, and that was very clear shortly after I joined. First, however, I will talk about my side of Ultima Boria and ultimately my pride and joy of Orbis. Sanctuary Valley is my one and only build in Orbis, a small village nestled between two mountain ranges in the far north of the map. Assisted by my friend Walloper for a short period of time, Sanctuary Valley was built initially to create a solid foothold in the north for Ultima Boria, and quickly became a place for me to avoid the drama of the southern parts of the nation. It, as of before the end of the server, consisted of my house, a storage building, an unfinished fort built by Walloper, Walloper's house itself, and what I call the Longhouse, which is a two-story building that is pretty long. Interesting name, I know. Sanctuary Valley is overall not the most interesting place in the server, both because of my late joining and also because I wanted it to be its namesake only, a sanctuary for anyone who wants to avoid drama and stress in the server. It became that for me, and I wanted it to be a place where people could just chill, avoid all the drama that was happening around both the server and real life, and just relax. Few have actually visited it though, but outside of Walloper and Matanga, the only two other citizens of the village, there have only been two or three other people to visit. Those people are Gamer, who succeeded the rule of Ultima Borea until its very end, and which I will get into later, and Mixed, who I will call a warlord who murdered me during a war. Ultima Borea may be confusing to those who don't know about its history. I myself do not know everything about the nation, but I'm going to begin where I joined. As mentioned before, I joined shortly after Ultima Borea changed its government when a woman named Kathy stepped down as empress and a democracy was developed. Elections occurred within my first week, and the first out of two presidents was Tory. Now, this nation was rather unstable internally, as there were four main players higher up in the political side of things. First is Tori, who, as mentioned before, was the person to invite me to Orbis. She's a very headstrong individual who is quick to make rash decisions under stress without asking others beforehand. This would contribute to a lot of the problems. Second is Zombie Veritas, who is fairly quiet. I sided with her later on when Ultima Borea fell. Third is Gamer 10161, who is a pretty chill guy, but due to the drama got ganged up on quite a bit. Finally is Northern. I don't know much about Northern, but she apparently had been planning quite a lot in the background that resulted in the death of the nation. Northern had apparently been a spy from somewhere else, though memory fails me of where she was doing espionage for. However, when she left, she created a civil war, wishing to split Ultima Borea up and claim a rather large western territory while backed by this other nation. From there, the nation practically just completely collapsed under the main four. Gamer remained in what I called quote-unquote traditional Ultima Borean territory, which consisted of the capital and the general biome around it, which was a lot of snow. Northern, as mentioned, took a western territory and later joined New Cofinia, a nation in the southwest of Ultima Borea. Tori also headed west, seceding to form the nation of Soga, or Kalenia. I'm not really sure. There were a few different names that were thrown around, and I wasn't all filled in for everything. She would later also join New Cofinia, and join Northern and others. Lastly was Zombie, who headed north to develop a Renfest. The north, being my territory, like the northeast. The northwest had some stuff going on. But being my territory resulted in me signing with Zombie in her goal to just be able to build and develop our new kingdom without any drama. That's what she roped me in with was just that I could avoid the drama of everybody else. That would ultimately work in the end, but it was not without a lot of difficulty and a lot of annoyance on my part. But we got there. After some time of these splinter nations existing, 3 of the 4 and myself returned to attempt to reform Ultima Boria to its mostly original territory. Tory, Zombie, and Gamer attempted to create a new constitution and democratic government, but ultimately failed after multiple disagreements and arguments that lasted multiple weeks out of the summer. Ultima Boria as a unified state would not return for the rest of the season. After this, and all of these weeks of arguments and everything, I stopped being active on Orbis as all of the constant arguments and infighting had begun to get on my nerves. So I joined the server less, and that resulted in Sanctuary Valley becoming rather stagnant in growth. Once October and November of 2023 rolled around, Gamer and I had talked the most out of everyone from the Splinter States. I hadn't heard word from Northern since her secession, and Tori and Zombie stopped communication with me as well. On October 23rd, I reached out to Zombie as she hadn't been on Orbis in about a month, and had thus lost her whitelist to the server. That was a new thing that had happened, was to prevent a bunch of data from having to be stored. Once you were offline for a month, you were just removed entirely. It helped with something in the background that I just don't know the details of. After a fairly short discussion with Zombie, however, I became the new king of Arenfest, and would be the king until the end of the server, being its only citizen and population left, as Walloper and Matanga stopped logging on a long time ago, and had thus also lost their whitelist to the server. Once late November rolled around, things started to pick up, however. Around the 20th, Gamer DM'd me on Discord saying that the server was going to be ending within the week. One final server archive would recur in 3 days, and then, from my understanding, the server would close and the season would be over. This led to November 23rd, 2023, American Thanksgiving Day. The B-roll in the background of this video was all recorded on this date. As was writing all of this, I wrote this directly after what happened so I would not forget as much as possible. As the server neared its shutdown for archival, a handful of Orbis's players decided to nuke the end island as much as physically possible, utilizing a cannon plug-in, lava casting, and TNT duping machines that flew across the island. In the background of the video, the aftermath of these TNT dupers can be seen with these long strips of exploded, just air, I guess, across the end that I bridged across a couple times to try to navigate through. It made it kind of hard to get through because I didn't have an elytra or anything. So I'm not as survival advanced as most others that were seen in the video. I never had any netherite. I never had an elytra. I wasn't there when they killed the dragon. Yeah. Uh, However, after the archival was finished, the server reopened with this as its listing. Once I rejoined, Brazilian had already logged on, as had many others. I had just finished eating Thanksgiving dinner, and things were rather confusing for me. However, an event had begun, and posts were being made in the Discord chat that was used as a sort of news outlet. I will read it from it directly. First, at 6:29 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, this statement was posted. And before I read, I am terribly sorry. I'm going to butcher a lot of these names because I've never heard them spoken. I've only seen them in text. Quote, to all the subjects of the Inur, our names are Manwë, our names are Manwë and Varda. We are using the power of the Great Song to address all of Inur's subjects. The forward positions of our ground forces on the Anduin River have become undone, and all troops stationed behind them have started marching. Our objective is to protect the people of the Aman Archipelago, the place where we were born and raised. However, the world wishes for the annihilation of the people of the Almaran. The hatred that has been swelling up for so long will certainly not end, until not just the Almanreners, but all of the Anur's subjects have been eliminated. We reject this wish. Our ground forces shall trample all Earth outside of this archipelago underfoot, until all life existing there has been exterminated from this world. The following video was also attached to the post. The finale event of Orbis consisted of the Almauren attacking the rest of the world with nuclear ICBMs, beginning with each nation's capital, followed by their cities, and completed with a total war. Minutes after this post and video, all diplomacy and rules of war were suspended, and the world's equivalent to the United Nations was dissolved. Shortly after, multiple nuclear warheads were launched, including one in Sanctuary Valley. I was willing to just sit it out and go down with my ship, as Sanctuary Valley was my only place on the server. I remained mostly by myself, as I had been asked a couple times by some other people if I wanted to join this new sort of mega nation called the Ascendancy, which was basically hey, what if we made a meme and everybody joined together into one nation before the server closes, so they have to make a map of just one singular nation in it? I didn't want to do that. I didn't really care enough. But I didn't care enough to join. I didn't care enough to not join. I just said, nah. Uh, when the nuke hit Sanctuary Valley, however, it specifically hit my house. Only my house. I was sitting in the longhouse when it happened in silence, waiting for Game to join me, when I heard an explosion behind me and began getting poisoned, which was the server's, the plugin's equivalent to like radiation poisoning. So it was supposed to be a nuke. Turning around, I noticed that my house was gone. In place was a crater. Fortunately enough, the rest of Sanctuary Valley was completely fine, but now there was just a giant crater splitting off the village itself from the only path leading south. There were no other paths leading out of the village, and it's just completely surrounded by mountains, and the only path out is gone. It's pretty annoying. After some further sitting around, I met the final person to visit Sanctuary Valley, Foweni of Capitolinia. I don't know much about him or his nation, and again, I apologize if I pronounced the username wrong. I've never heard it spoken. But he was pretty chill and was able to fill me in on a few things I was confused about on the event. As I'm making this video, others have begun preparing for the overall war that will come, including the construction of over 60 withers. And every single time a wither is built, it plays a sound. And at one point, it was just so many drums. So I think it's supposed to be like a drum that plays, but there was just so many of them. Like at one point, it was just boom, 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 boom. Somebody was making a lot of withers at a very fast rate. Um, once the whole war and everything is over, though, the server will end. So whoever built all those withers, they won't have to worry about the aftermath and killing them all, or that they might have been in an important place. But until then, and in this war, it'll just be complete chaos because those withers aren't gonna matter. Like, those withers don't care if you built them or not. They're gonna attack you. So, I don't know. Something will happen. I won't be fighting, but a lot of other people will. Orbis has been a rather interesting idea for a server. I enjoy joining geopolitical games, and Orbis I unfortunately was unable to really get into it and learn much about the other nations, as I had joined so late on it, and then just all the arguments and everything made me not enjoy my time there as much. However, it was fun outside of the drama and stress Ultima Boria had. I plan on possibly joining a season 3 if it ever comes around, try to make some new friends, uh, try to keep some old ones if I can. Whatever happens, happens. But also, as of writing and editing this video, the idea of a season 3 at all is completely up in the air. It hasn't been decided on if there actually will be one or not. Uh, but yeah, that's all I've really got to say about this. So this is really a signing off. See you guys.